Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Welcome back to Ant on Music. I'm your host, Ant, and hope everyone had fantastic holidays, safe, healthy, and happy New Year to all of you. Thanks for coming and checking me out. Before we get into this week's episode, always do me the favor. Click like. Join the hive, right? Hit that subscribe button below. Want you here every week. Don't want you to miss an episode. Leave a comment. I love getting back to people, hearing what they think about the show, if they have any suggestions for the show. Anything that you think I should check out that I may not be aware of, because this is about sharing music. That's what this is all about. It's it's a conversation. It's not just one way. So do that, and obviously if you dig it, share it with your friends. The more the merrier. So this week we're gonna go put on our mullets, and we're gonna take a dive into some 80s hard rock and hair metal and stuff based on it, or what that stuff is based on, I should say. First thing we're gonna take a look at is in my opinion, one of the more underrated guitarists from that generation. He played, most famous for playing with Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, did 2 albums with Ozzy, then went off on his own and had a solo career. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Jake E. Lee. This is a re-release for Jake. It's actually dated as 2024, but I picked it up at the end of the year. And this one is it's basically covers, okay? And what it is you have Jake with a background band and, guest vocalist. So, you have pretty much a who's who of heavy metal in here. You've got Running with the Devil with Stephen Pearcy, Seek and Destroy with Chuck Billy of Testament, Wango Tango with Stevie Rachel of Tough, Just What the Doctor Ordered by Corey Clark, Journey to the Center of the Mind with Phil Lewis from LA Guns fame, Get Down, Make Love with Glenn Hughes of Deep Purple fame, Alex Mitchell on Wang Dang Sweet Poontang, one of my favorite vocalists, and probably one of, I think, the more underrated songwriters from the era, Janie Lane, may rest in peace, of Warrant. A great version of AC/DC's It's a Long Way to the Top with Lemmy from Motorhead on vocals, and that's something to hear. If you've never heard it before, that's a great song. And Crying Time, Stephen Pearcy, a Rat. This is actually a re-release. It actually came out originally in 2008. And, like a lot of the guys in the metal community, Jake did a bunch of tribute albums. And that's what this is compiled from. It kind of brings together all the stuff that he was on. And it comes with this neat poster. There are only 400 of these put in with the album. And the album itself is a pretty cool looking purple. Bit of a splatter there. It's pretty neat looking. Heavyweight vinyl, pretty nice. Sounds good. Got a great track selection. Nothing wrong with that. I've always been a big Jake fan. Jake E. Lee is one of the, like I said, I think one of the more underrated guitarists from the era of the 80s. And, he catches some flack, but, he's pretty good. If you ever get a chance, one of the things that I like that I have in my collection that I found way back when, this is a Japanese import. This is called A Fine Pink Mist. One of the standout tracks on this that I always go back to is Demon A Go-Go, but it's got such other good stuff on here as well. If you can track this down, like maybe through CD Japan, I don't even know if it's still available anymore. Came with a little OBI. It's got both of the information for the album in Japanese and also in English. So that's pretty neat. Got some pictures of the man himself when he was a bit younger on the back. It's a good pickup if you can find it. It's a great listen. It's very different than just the typical Jake E. Lee shredding like he does on the Ozzy albums. It's a more of a well-rounded way of listening to his music. It shows a different side of Jake on a lot of the tracks, and there's enough shred stuff there to keep you happy as well. So if you get a chance to hunt this one down, I've had this for many years. A Fine Pink Mist by Jake E. Lee. Next thing we got is an anniversary edition. It's already been, I think, a year or so since the album came out. They're already putting out an anniversary edition. I was real happy to get the anniversary edition of this album. This one's called Let's Hear It for the King, the Dan Reed Network. They were super popular back in the late 80s. I was a big, I would say, pusher of Dan Reed music when I had my radio shows and when I was working in clubs. Phil Lewis of LA Guns described Dan Reed Network as Prince with balls. Very funky metal stuff, but not funk metal like you're thinking along the lines of the Chili Peppers. This was more like R&B funk, like true funk. And it's really, really a great album. The big bonus on this was you got an additional side of acoustic tracks which were done live. Starlight, Let's Hear It for the King, which is the title track from this album, and Last Day on Saturn. And with this, if you look close, if you're a Dan Reed fan, you'll notice up here you got the little Dan Reed symbol at the top of the King's crown. Artwork inside by Dan the Man himself. The back cover with the track listing. And you've got the lyrics on both sides of each of the LPs here. And what they did was, the original was in hot pink, the original release, if you were lucky enough like I was to get an original copy of the release. But what they did for the re-release was put it on different colored vinyl. But for me, the big pick me up on this one is the acoustic tracks. If you're unfamiliar with Dan Reed, at one point the Dan Reed Network opened up for the Rolling Stones back on the Steel Wheels tour. So you got some pretty good looking vinyl there. And it's a good album. It's pretty solid, for a band that, went into hiatus for a while. Dan did some solo stuff. He's now operating, both doing solo and also with the network as well. And it's a great album. Let's Hear It for the King. If you haven't picked it up, the original copy, if there's anything left of these, I believe it was only 250 made. Try and get one through Dan Reed's web page, through his website or through his Facebook page. I know that they were having them there. It's good stuff. If you like Dan Reed and you haven't heard this one yet, get on the horse. This is a good one to get. Dan Reed Network, Let's Hear It for the King. Moving right along, another anniversary edition. Probably the biggest band to come out of Ireland prior to U2. One of the great hard rock bands of the 70s. One of my favorites to this day, the one and only Thin Lizzy. Okay, and this is the anniversary edition of Vagabonds of the Western World. You got the hype sticker here, 50th anniversary, 2LP, and it is purple. Seems to be a theme this week. A lot of the LPs I managed to gather in the past week or so, a couple of weeks, since the Christmas break that I took, were purple, just the way it worked out. This is one of the earlier albums from Thin Lizzy. I know it's also available as a 3 CD set, box set. And the cool thing about this, we'll go through this, is the additional tracks on sides 3 and 4, which is singles, A-sides, and remixes and alternative mixes from the album and singles. So it's pretty cool. So you've got some pictures of the band there, and also you have here pictures of the single releases from the album from that time, from around the world. Pretty neat. Back cover, another picture of the boys, and you have some liner notes there. And then you have the LPs themselves. Got a little cartoon there of Whiskey in the Jar. And then you have this as well, Randall's Tango. And these are, as advertised, these are purple. And these are about as purple gets, in my opinion. And it's just, it's a great album. You don't really put out albums for anniversaries if they weren't solid to begin with. This one has Mama Nature Said, The Hero and the Madman, Slow Blues, The Rocker, which is like a classic Lizzy track, title track, Vagabond of the Western World, Little Girl in Bloom, Gonna Creep Up on You, and A Song for While I'm Away. And even more so, you have the singles for Whiskey in the Jar, Black Boys on the Corner, Randolph's Tango, Broken Dreams, single for the rocker, Here I Go Again, A Ride on in the Lizzy Mobile, Whiskey in the Jar alternative mix, and it's also extended. Black Boys on the Corner, extended mix, actually alternative mix, and Gonna Creep Up on You. So this is a solid album by the boys in Thin Lizzy. You know, can only imagine what Phil Lynott would be doing if he were alive today. But it's great that they keep putting out these updated versions of the Lizzy catalog. Very happy to add this one to my collection. You know, obviously Santa Claus was good to me. Keeping it moving, what we have is a compilation. And this one is from a band that started off originally as Angel, and then it's, you know, it splintered and it became, you know, members went off to Jafria. Obviously Greg Jafria went there, and then it splintered again. And towards the end of the 80s, in the mid 80s, you had Jafria. In the 70s, you had Angel. You know, in the 80s, you had Jafria, which was very much a sound alike to what Journey sounded like at that time. It definitely mined the same vein. They had some success on their first couple albums, and then you know they splintered, and that was that. Of course, I'm talking about House of Lords, and one of the cooler tracks on here is they do a fantastic version of I Can't Find My Way Home, the old Blind Faith tune, and it really is fantastic. And this is great because it's, you know, it's a good way if you haven't listen to House of Lords. If you're unfamiliar with them, this is a good album to pick up. It's been out for a while. I just happened to come across it. I was like, oh wow, I don't own that one. Let me pick that up. And you know, it has a couple of live tracks to close out the album with Edge of Your Life and Under Blue Skies. The Legend Lives On is on here. Chains of Love, I Want to Be Loved, the aforementioned I Can't Find My Way Home, Hero Song, Sahara, Kiss of Fire, and voice is cracking already. And it's got the liner notes on the back and a picture of the band. And what you have here is, as I always like to say, get to use my Austin Powers voice, it's gold! Very pretty gold, 180 gram vinyl album right there from the boys in House of Lords. You know, very, very cool stuff. Like I said, if you dig them, pick it up. Even if you don't dig them, give it a listen. You might like them. You know, if you dig Journey, if you dig Jafria, Angel, it's all in the same vein. So it's definitely a worthwhile pickup. You know, and you know, I've been enjoying it since I picked it up within the past couple of weeks. It's pretty cool. I enjoy that style of music, so that works for me. Final thing I have for you this week, a little bit different from, you know, what we've talked about with the you know, hard rock stuff of Thin Lizzy and, you know, the hair metal stuff with Jake and House of Lords. This is a band that, you know, they were lumped in with the new wave, okay? And yeah, I get it. The songs were new wave. You had stuff that was, you know, very much popular in the alternative charts and the new wave charts. And this band was from LA, but it had some musical killers in it, okay? Talking Warren Cucurullo and also Terry Bozzio, all right, who both played with Frank Zappa. Listen, if you played with Zappa, you had chops. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. It's not like he took on, you know, people that could only sort of play or were flash in the pan. I mean, he had Vi in the band, who went on to be, you know, solo artist, be in Whitesnake, be in David Lee Roth's band, and he has amazing chops. Cucurullo went on. He was also in Duran Duran. But if you're playing with Zappa, okay, you definitely know how to play, whatever your instrument is. And, you know, Bozzio and Cucurullo were just, they were absolute, you know, monsters on guitar and drums, respectively. And, of course, they had, you know, Eye Candy, Dale Bozzio there as well. And this is a live album from a night in San Francisco where Slayer filmed War at the Warfield. It's at the Warfield Theater. And this has on it Mental Hopscotch, Noticeable One, Words, Tears, Rock and Roll, Suspension, It Ain't None of Your Business, Bad Stress, US Drag, Windows, Here and Now. One of my favorite all-time tracks, Walking in LA, I Like Boys, and Destination Unknown, which is also one of my favorite tracks by them. And with this one, you know, gatefold right there. You've got the titles on the back, track listing, and also you've got some information about the album itself, along with liner notes. And there you see Warren there, along with Miss Bozio. And this is a pretty damn solid live album. All right, I don't think they got enough credit for what they did, and you know, it's cool to see that this release has come out 40 years after the fact. It was originally supposed to be part of Record Store Day, Black Friday, but for some reason it didn't get released then, and then all of a sudden it popped up like a week or so after Thanksgiving. I actually heard about it through social media, and I was like, "Oh wow, it got released." The only thing that didn't get released from Record Store Black Friday, which I'm hoping gets a release soon, is the LA Guns Live in Boston from 1989. That was the Cocked and Loaded tour, and that was fantastic. But this, yet again, more purple vinyl. Like I said, this is the week of purple vinyl, and once again, as purple gets. So that's everything that I have to share with you this week. Like I always say, please, please, please leave a comment, click like, join the hive, hit the share button below. I appreciate you spending your time here with me, no matter how long you do spend with me. Hopefully this will show you some albums that are worth picking up. Now, I certainly think they are. You might think otherwise. Hopefully there's something in that pile that you like. Be back next week. Definitely going to roll out one of the box sets that I got for Christmas. Like I said, Santa Claus was good to me. And some other stuff as well. So, thanks for spending time with me. Appreciate you all. And as always, peace, one love, and music.